code, knowing these things like that, knowing how to run ads on Facebook, knowing all this stuff, contacting theme pages, shit like that. And then I transitioned into just growing theme pages. So I was
Yeah.
like, this is easy for me. And this is, and just it clicked, right? But those skills transferred.
Yeah.
I still know how to go or build Shopify sites today. I still know how to do Facebook ads, and it just compounds over and over and
I
over.
agree.
Um, but I feel like you have more knowledge to share because we're talking about the spiritual stuff. We're talking about this perspective. I feel like some of it's aimed towards maybe like the TikTok kids, right? But I feel like you have this core knowledge behind like the tactics, right? Inside the stores and, with
For sure.
Bitcoin and reading charts and stuff like that. And you mentioned 2017. And 2017 was, I had just dropped out of college and I'm seeing Bitcoin go stupid. And I'm like, what is this? Like, I first exposure to it, right? And I'm looking at Ethereum, I'm looking at these other ones. I'm like, oh, if I just bought one of these, it might go up a little bit. I'm an 18-year-old kid, I don't know what's going on. What was you said people laughed at you. What
Yeah.
were they laughing about?
The it was Thanksgiving, and people were going around saying what they were thankful for. Luke Belmar, what are you thankful for? Bitcoin. Everybody laughed. Okay, so be it. I'm very thankful for it.
And this is did it crash before?
2007. It was right before the crash. It was like the super hype right before the crash, but everybody was laughing at me like, oh, whatever, whatever, like
And
superficial,
you were in
superficial.
it at that time?
I was in it and heavy, bro. I started buying Bitcoin at like 600, 500, $600
Okay.
way back. Yeah. And biggest plays were Cardano, ADA. Bought that shit at half a penny. My biggest bag was Pancake Swap.
I didn't buy that, but
Pancake Swap, I owned 1% of the circulating supply. I got into it at $25 million valuation and wrote it to 2.6 billion. It was fucking really crazy. I slowly cashed out on my way up, so it wasn't like a full blown like crazy exit, but pretty much a unicorn type
what was your
event.
process for identifying that? Do you know people that,
Yeah.
tell you things? Do you
So
have
so it
people?
was kind of I was betting on CZ. So remember with the
Okay.
app
Yep.
Clubhouse
Yeah, yeah.
back in the day when that used to be a thing? I got banned twice on that shit. I was like, this app won't last. Censorship resistance apps are going to be the future. So anything that censors people's ability to speak the truth eventually kind of crumbles. Um, it's a good question. I don't know. I don't know how to answer it.
It's interesting to me hearing
I'm
like
gonna leave for that one.
hearing your, marketing background and what you're doing with your e-com stores, and then hearing, all your like self-development stuff, and then even, crypto, like it really comes back to people at the end of the day. Like all the things you're saying, you're understanding how the end user experience watching your ads is intaking that information being presented to them. You're betting on certain tokens because
You're
of the
betting on
leadership.
people, and it's kind of like
Everything is people at the end of the day.
that's why I was careful with the point because it's like
Sure.
you can't always just bet on people. That's why I was being a little bit careful on
Mhm.
it. But for example, if you look at Elon, the dude's gonna make Twitter successful. Are you gonna
100%.
bet on him or not? Like, dude, like the dude's a fucking genius. So when I looked at CZ, he owns the biggest exchange. I started buying Binance in 2017 at $2, like a savage.
B&B?
Yeah, and it was crazy. And I was like, this guy's talking on Clubhouse about Pancake Swap. There's a high likelihood he's gonna make this thing fucking run. So I put my chips there, and it worked. And it could have easily not worked, but it worked. And that's what life is. Life is literally calculated decisions. Business, your job, that's all calculated decisions. Day by day, it's a calculated decision. The problem is most people outsource their decision making to a boss because they don't want to assume responsibility for their life. So the decision that I made was instead of making fucking 90 trades and buying all these shit coins and all this stuff, let me find something that is quite stable and bet on winning people. I was a little bit careful about answering like the betting
sure.
people point because you don't always want to be looking at other people as your vehicle for running a bag,
No.
but it is also the case that it is possible. I mean, look at the other side.
I was more
Look at the
so
antithesis of it.
Bet on
Look at
SBF.
SBF. If you look at SBF, right? He was.
yeah.
That's why I was
I was
careful
more so
about it because
more
it
so
can
asking
easily backfire.
what
Yeah.
made you aware of it. It's kind of and that seems to be answered by like
Yeah,
you.
the Clubhouse and literally just going in there and asking.
Yeah.
And you hear the guy and he's like, oh, well, I don't know who the team is, but we're in contact with them. The bull run is starting. The shit's worth 25 million. I understand how tokens run because I saw 2017, those shits ran up to billions of dollars. So you just have to be able to get in. And I cashed out most of my pancake swap between $26 and $36, most of it, when one of the owners of FaZe Clan hit me up and was like, "What is Safe Moon?" And I was like, "Nah, bro, fuck this shit. I'm out." Because it was taking place as it thrived on the Binance Smart Chain, which told me it was it was hitting climax point. When a dude that games and has nothing to do with crypto starts asking me about it. That's a big cue for everybody on the next bull run. The moment people start mentioning it, get out or start taking positions out. Why? Because the bankers, the elite, the financiers, the venture capital, they are already in at the bottom. When they start spreading the news, is for them to create what? They're trying to create liquidity and market demand to offload their bags. How they offload their bags, how much they can hype it and run it up is really dependent on the cycle and on the system and the money that's being printed. Again, another one, if the United States gets more money circulating, the markets are going to pump. They make their way into the market. Like there's various cycles that you can start paying attention to on the macro.
So
And they tend to repeat themselves.
if you're someone that wants to run up a bag in crypto on the next run, what are you doing?
Right, what I'm doing right now is starting. If I'm a newbie, there's people can just look up an article that I wrote, the 11 books that made me rich, and just Luke Belmar, 11 books that made me rich on Google. Just type it, and I just very simple list the 11 books that I attribute a very big portion of skill set or money making mindset that everybody should read. So those are like the 11 foundational books. And people can look at the list there. That's where I would start. Number 2 is figure out what type of lane in business I want to take. So you can take one of 3 lanes: digital product, physical product, or service. Service, a lot of time involved in sweat equity, right? But the startup cost is low. Product, you're going to have inventory, supply chain, a lot more logistics, but has a decent ability of scalability. And you also have the ability to use TikTok organic as a means of traffic for a physical product. And then you have your digital product, which is similar to the physical, but with no inventory, everything's happening online. I would recommend people find a product that they can provide value in or sell in the marketplace in one of those 3 areas: services, physical products, or digital products. Figure out how to make money in one of those lanes. Do not spend that money, right? Because that money is income earned, right? And income earned is money that gets invested.
It's a tool.
The money that you make from your work is not money that gets spent. That's why when I go with other people that, let's say, can't afford a $20,000 watch, to buy a $20,000 watch, to them it feels like a lot. Why?
Because they earned it with their time, the hours.
Because they calculate it not on the dollar amount, but on the amount of time that it would take them to earn that. So they're calculating based off of time, but so am I. So if it took me 1 hour or 2 hours or a day to make that 20,000, I'm like, oh, sounds good. 1 day worth of work. I got the Rolex. Yeah. Whereas another person's like 60 years worth of work to get the Rolex. They're going to perceive it